What is up, my friends? I am Mumfy. Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new, thank you so much for joining. 2022 is kicking off with a bang. We've already got one install done. That is the custom LED grill that lights up. That's pretty sweet. Now, over the year and a half that I've owned the Tacoma, I've put on quite a few mods. And one of the questions that comes up a lot is, how are they holding up? In this video, I figured I'd cover 5 mods and see how they're holding up now that I've had them on the truck for a while. Now, some of them are a little bit newer and haven't been on the truck as long, but some have been on the truck since I actually picked it up. So, let's get into this video and see how some of these mods are holding up now that they've been on the truck for a while. Alright, let's discuss the first mod, and that's going to be the in-channel wind deflectors. There are a couple of versions of wind deflectors that you can go with. There is the adhesive, and then there's in-channel. I decided to go with the in-channel for a couple of reasons. One is the ease of install, and two, because I like the lower profile that they provide. Now, there's pros and cons to both versions. You have the adhesive that you have to mess with. Some people like to deal with that, some people don't. I don't necessarily like it simply because I'm relying on adhesive that can degrade over time. And I don't really want to mess with having to clean up all that goop and residue that the adhesive leaves behind. I can actually just remove these, no fuss, no muss. Now, the in-channel wind deflector does have its pros and cons as well. Pros, I kind of went over a couple. The lower profile, ease of install. The cons, because this is pressure, this is held in with pressure, it does change the weather stripping on the windows. So if you remove it, it may affect the spacing on the weather stripping, so just keep that in mind. Also, on the rear windows, you actually have to add an additional bracket in order for these to hold. But other than that, I really like the lower profile, the wind deflection, the rain deflection. You can crack the window in rainy situations just to get some air circulation without having to worry about it coming in. Plus, it offers some deflection if you have snow or any other rain that's dropping down over the window. So over the year that I've had them on the truck, I do like the fact that they haven't faded. These are kind of the dark smoke. The window function hasn't changed at all. It still works 100%, and I would recommend these if you're looking for an in-channel wind deflector. Let's move on to our next mod. Alright, the next mod I want to go over that I've had on the truck for over a year are the demon brackets. Now, I still get quite a few questions about the demon brackets concerning newer 3rd gen Tacomas, and it's also one of my most viewed installs as well on the channel. The demon brackets are a great way to add shackles to the front of your Tacoma if you're not looking to replace your front bumper. This is an inexpensive option to do so. The brackets have held up very well over time. I have no complaints. The bolts have not come loose. My driver's side shackle might be a little tight, so the play in it may not be ideal. These will fit up to the 22s because all the 3rd gen Tacomas have this cross member here, which is where you'll tie them into. I don't recommend that you do heavy recovery with these brackets. They are more of a cosmetic look and for your just regular towing applications for the Tacoma. They just replace the factory tow hooks, so anything over the normal use of the tow hooks, I would not put on these demon brackets. They do add a little bit of pop, and I do appreciate that they are an inexpensive way to add shackles to the front of your Tacoma. Hey, if you haven't already, would you hit that like button? I'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the video. Alright, the next mod I kind of want to talk about has not been on the Tacoma for very long, and it will only really apply to anyone rocking the Rome cases, either the 83 or the 92, and that's the Sherpa Mounts. The difference between the two is height-wise. The 92 Rome cases are taller, so the bracket's going to be a little taller on the Sherpa mount. I like these simply because it's an easy to install mounting option that doesn't require you to drill through your Rome cases. Now, I've had the question asked, what's the spacing between the two mounts? And that is about 49.5 inches, to help give you an idea of where you may want to set your crossbars. Now, as I said, I haven't had these on the Tacoma for very long, but I do like that they are very secure. I recently took a trip up to Idaho and they held up wonderfully. One of the cons that I've kind of run into is that because there isn't a fully locking aspect to these mounts to the box, there is a slight rattle. They do shift side to side, very minusculely. It's nothing to worry about. I've checked the brackets. I can actually go up. In fact, I'll show you. I can really shake the box around and the mounts have not moved at all. All it is that the mount is not fully locked in, so there's just a very small amount of movement when you're driving around on these mounts. Other than that, all I really did was I swapped out the screws that came with the kit for my own, just as an added level of deterrency. They are still 1/4-20 bolts that mount into the channel locking nuts. I have no complaints. It's a great option and an inexpensive option for mounting your Rome boxes to either your roof rack or your bed rack, depending on where you want to place them. Let's move on to the next mod. All right, this next mod was the very first one I did for the channel. That is the sequential turn signals. These things have been amazing. I got them from Tacoma Lifestyle and they're still running strong. Now, these are the smoked versions, and at the time they only had clear and this lighter smoked. Now they have kind of a black dark smoke, which I think is pretty cool as well. I love the look of them. The install is actually really easy to do. You can go back and watch my install video on this. Just make sure that the wires are polarized correctly, otherwise they won't work. This was a very fun mod to do. I recommend it for anybody that has the turn signals in the side mirrors. They just look great, especially if you have the LED sequentials. Let's move on to the next mod. Alright, and for this final mod, I have had this on the Tacoma since I bought it. It was a dealer option. I just wanted it done so I didn't have to deal with it later down the road. Although, with the added weight in the back, I am having to look for a new option. That is the suspension that I have on the truck. Now, I have put about 20,000 miles, a little over 20,000 miles on the Tacoma with the suspension. They are the Bilstein 5100s. They say it's a 3.2 lift leveling kit. It's more of a 2.5 in the front with a block spacer in the back under the leaf springs. I can highly recommend doing the shocks with the Bilstein 5100s. They have been amazing. They're still just as stiff as the day that I bought it. They may have worn in over the year and a half that I've driven on it, but I do like how they function. They've been a great shock, and up front I do have the OME springs. This is a great beginning option if you're looking at just lifting the truck. They're fairly inexpensive. Bilstein has been around for a while. I do like the 2.5 for the Tacoma. You can keep it without having to change too much else in the way of suspension from underneath the truck. Once you start going higher, then you're starting to look at replacing a lot more parts, and the suspension obviously gets more expensive. Now, I have done a little bit of off-roading with these Bilsteins. They are a little on the stiff side. For an overall suspension, I think these Bilstein 5100s are a great option out there. Now, I have paired it with the 285 70R17 Nitto Ridge grapplers, along with the TRD wheels. And because I got this done at the dealership, they made sure that I do not have any rubbing issues in the wheel well. So these are sized ideally for the Tacoma. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope it helped if you are looking at any of those mods for your Tacoma. And hey, if you see a mod on my Tacoma that you'd like me to discuss for next time, leave me a comment down below. As always, if you're interested in any mods that I have on my Tacoma, I do have a link in the description box below that will take you to my full library and where you can get the mods that I have on my Tacoma. Some of them are affiliate links, others are direct links to where you can pick those up. I do have a website that I am working on. Feel free to check that in the link below as well. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Standard 2.5 for the 3rd generation. Alright, now I know that there's a lot of suspension kits out there that you can go with. These trucks, man.